Well, good morning, students. Let us learn today about the sustainable management of natural resources. So, why we have to manage the natural resources? First of all, let us see what are natural resources. So, the sources of the nature like air, water, soil, minerals, coal, petroleum, forest, all these things are the natural resources. And human beings are exploiting these natural resources, and day by day the earth is getting depleted from the natural resources. Moreover, the air, water, soil are all getting polluted. If we are not taking care now, then what happens? The future generation will suffer, and therefore, and moreover, these natural resources, most of them are exhaustible. So, coal and petroleum, as we take out from the earth, they get exhausted, and hence we have to manage these natural resources. So, in this chapter, we will be discussing about sustainable management of natural resources. So, human activities are leading to the pollution of air, water, soil, and all other natural resources. So, below here you can see the diagram of the condition, which shows the condition of the Ganga river. So, it is highly polluted, not useful, or using that water will be harmful to human beings and other organisms. So, like this, if water sources, soil sources get polluted, then living becomes difficult both for human beings and all other animals. So, how to control this pollution? So, there are so many international laws and organizations which will are engaged in developing the awareness among the people regarding the harmful effects of pollution. So, such an act to clean Ganga river was taken up in the year 1985, and there is lot of improvement in the condition of the river, and that project is called as a Ganga Action Plan. The presence of coliform bacteria indicates the pollution of water. So, this E. coli present in water indicates that it is polluted with so they are harmful bacteria, and moreover, with the help of a pH paper or the litmus paper, we can find out whether the water has become acidic or basic. So, polluted water will show change in color with the litmus paper, and if we see this water under the microscope, we can see microorganisms, mainly coliform bacteria. One of the strategy for a sustainable development of natural resources is application of 5 R's. So, what are those 5 R's? Reduce, recycle, reuse, refuse, and repurpose. So, in reduce, we will be minimizing the use of natural resources. For example, if already the environment or the surrounding is cooler, then we avoid the fans. Like that, if sufficient light is there, then avoid the use of electric power. So, like that, reducing the use of things, natural resources, is the strategy is called a reduce. Then recycle. Recycle is, instead of throwing the materials like plastic buckets or glass bottles into the soil, which are non-biodegradable substances. These can be collected and can be given to a recycling person who will recycle it and will be once again used. So again and again using is called as a recycling. Then reuse. Reuse is using a object for a example. If old clothes are there, with the help of these old clothes we can once again make a rasai or a blanket like a thin bed like structures or useful materials. Then reuse, then it is called a reuse. Refuse is avoiding the substances like plastic. Instead, if we carry, so when we go to shop, different shops, in every shop they will be giving some the materials in the plastic cover. But if we carry a cotton bag, then what happens? We can take all these things in single bag, and therefore we can say, we can tell the person who is selling those things or packing those things to avoid the plastic. Okay, so that is called as a refuse. Then repurpose is the purpose of the material is changed. For example, if we have purchased a bucket and if it is broken, in that case we can use it as a flower pot. So we can put some soil in that and we can grow plants in it. So the purpose of that, which was purchased for carrying water, can be used for growing plants. So these reduce, recycle, reuse, refuse and repurpose are called as 5 R's. Among these, recycle involves the expenditure of energy, that is, to once again to give another shape to the materials, we have to spend energy. Therefore, among these 5, recycle is not considered as the better strategy, but remaining reduce, refuse, reuse and repurpose are considered as the better strategies for sustainable development of natural. Lot of campaign is going on to make the people aware about conservation of natural resources. So after all, why do we need to manage our resources? Yes, we are in immediate need to manage our resources because everything that we consume is obtained from the resources present on the earth, maybe the soil, the minerals what we are taking. Take example, the Kolar gold fields. So from the Kolar gold fields, a large amount of gold was extracted. But now the soil there, so that ore is not present now. So it is totally depleted. So this is how, if we over exploit the things, then we will the soil will become this loss of nutrients will take place, and moreover they have to be carefully handled as natural resources are limited. So everywhere everything is not available, therefore we cannot simply take away the things. Take example, the coal and petroleum. So a limited stock of these fossil fuels is there under the earth. So if we take it out completely, then what will happen? We will use that and future generation will not get the benefit of usage of petroleum products. So management also ensures that availability of these resources always, today for us and tomorrow for a future generation. So that is why we have need to manage our natural resources. So forests are a wealth of any country, and it is a very important natural resource, and it is considered as a biodiversity hotspot. It is because it acts as a natural habitat for a wide variety of species of plants, animals, and microorganisms. These forests are our natural resources as well as habitat of a large number of wildlife and need to be conserved. And for this there are stakeholders. Stakeholders are the persons and the parties having a binding interest in an asset. So who are the stakeholders of a forest? The locals who live around the forest, the forest department, then industrialists and wildlife and natural enthusiasts. These people are considered as stakeholders. That is, they have a binding interest on a forest. Take example, the locals. So locals who live around the forest and depend on forest products. So their living is totally dependent on a forest. If forest is lost, then they will lose their living status. So they have to maintain the forest. Then forest department. It is a government body which looks after the forest. So why they are considered as stakeholders is they always work for conservation and maintenance of a forest. If forest cover is lost, then they will lose the job. There will not be any existence for a forest department. Therefore, they have keen interest in conservation of a forest. Then industrialists. So industrialists, they take raw materials for running their industries. So what are the raw materials they get? For example, the paper industry. Paper industry requires a large amount of bamboo, and bamboo they get mainly from a forest. Likewise, the BD industry. BD industry requires a leaf called as from the tree called tendu leaves. So they take interest in safeguarding the forest for the raw materials. Then there are enthusiasts, natural enthusiasts. They are basically interested in conserving the forest, and hence they also come under the stakeholders of the forest. But industrialists cannot be considered as the true stakeholders because they are selfish in having the conservation of forest, because they want raw materials from that forest. So long raw material is available, they will be taking care of the forest. Once the raw materials are not available, then they abandon that area of the forest. Therefore, they cannot be considered as the real or true stakeholders of a forest. Another very important natural resource is the water. So water is a very important commodity that we get from the nature. It is not only required for drinking but also for bathing, washing, irrigation, industries, construction work, and disposal of sewage. The consumption of water has increased as the population of human beings day by day is increasing. For example, a village requires just 25 liters of water in a day, but an urban dweller requires at least 350 to 700 liters of water a day. So the consumption has increased, and it also has led the shortage of water. So the reason due to which we fail to sustain underwater availability are: one is loss of vegetation cover. So deforestation is increasing and precipitation is decreasing, and that is leading to the fall in the underwater level, the groundwater level. Then diversion of high water demanding crops. So the water is diverted for a cultivation of crops. Then pollution from industrial effluents and urban waste. And water bodies are polluted by industrial effluents. The wastage released from industries and the urban waste is converting the useful water into polluted water. Then irrigation methods like dams, tanks and canals are leading to the fail to sustain underwater availability. So in this scenario, it is very important for us to conserve the water. So what are the different methods of conserving water? Let us discuss. Water is another very important natural resource. It is not only required for drinking but also for bathing, washing, irrigation, industry, construction work and disposal of sewage. The consumption of water has increased. As you know, population is increasing day by day, and the consumption of water also increasing. In urban dwellers, it requires at least 350 to 700 liter of water a day. But the availability of water has become this shortage for people, and the reason due to which we fail to sustain underwater availability are as follows. Loss of vegetation cover, that is deforestation, has led to the decrease in the groundwater level. Diversion for higher water demanding crops. So for cultivation, the more water is used. Pollution from industrial effluents and urban waste. Then irrigation methods like dams, tanks, canals, they all store lot of water, and availability of water to common man has become less. So how to ensure the supply of water 24 into 7? So let us discuss that now. In order to make proper use of river water, dams are constructed across the rivers to regulate the flow of water. In our country, dams have been built across many rivers. They are considered as mega projects because the large reservoir of a dam stores a huge amount of water, and this stored water is then allowed to flow downstream at the desired rate. Bakra Dam is the one of such dam which has been built across the river Sutlej in the state of Punjab in our country. Dams built across the rivers are big storehouses of river water. Dams are useful for the society in the following ways. They ensure the adequate amount of water for irrigation through a canal. Water in dams is used for generating electricity, that is hydroelectric power generation. They ensure uninterrupted water supply. So these are all the advantages of having dams. But people like Medha Patkar is strongly opposing the construction of dams in the present days. Mainly the Narmada Bachao Andalan is led by Medha Patkar. So what is the problem with the mega project like dams? So mega projects like dam, they involve social problems, environmental problems and economical problems. So the social problem is Due to the construction of high-rise dams, a large number of human settlements are submerged in the water of large reservoir formed by the dam, and many people are rendered homeless. This creates a social problem. It is therefore necessary that all the people who have displaced from the dam site are given adequate compensation by the government for a rehabilitation so as to start their life afresh. The environmental problem is the construction of high-rise dams on the rivers contribute to large deforestation and loss of biodiversity. This is because a vast variety of flora and fauna get submerged in the water of large reservoir formed by the dam and disturb the ecological balance. Then the economic problem associated is, some people say that the construction of dams involve the spending of huge amount of public money without the generation of proportionate benefits. On the other hand, others say that there can be no real progress without building dams because they allow us to manage our water resources properly and at the same time give us much needed electricity. So, whether the construction of dams on rivers is an economic problem or not is a debatable question. Water harvesting techniques used to depend on the location where it is to be used. The people in rural India have used a large number of water collecting methods to capture as much rainwater as possible which had fallen on their land. Some of the ancient water harvesting structures used in different rural regions of our country are: in Rajasthan, we find Khadin systems; in Maharashtra, Bandaras and Tals; Madhya Pradesh, Bundis; Bihar, Ahars and Pines; Himachal Pradesh, Kuls; Jammu region, Ponds; Tamil Nadu, Eris; Kerala, Surangams; and Karnataka, Kattas. So, these are traditional water harvesting methods. The benefits of water harvesting is, it ensures water availability all through the year. It reduces the chances of flooding during the rainy season. The groundwater is regularly recharged. So, one of the ideal system is a Khadin system. It is a traditional rainwater harvesting for agriculture in Rajasthan. It consists of a very long earthen embankment down the slope of catchment areas, which helps in retaining the runoff water. A shallow well is often dug behind the embankment to store extra overflowing water. The stored water slowly percolates down to the ground. The area is then used for growing crops and vegetation. Coal and petroleum are called fossil fuels. Coal and petroleum are the natural resources which are important sources of energy for us. Coal is used as fuel as such in homes and in industry, or it is used to generate electricity at thermal power plants. Petroleum products such as petrol, diesel are used as fuel in transport to run scooters, motorcycles, buses, trucks, cars, trains, etc. Kerosene and LPG obtained from petroleum are used as domestic fuels for cooking food. But it has been estimated that at the present rate of consumption, the known petroleum reserves of the earth will last us for just about 40 years more, and the coal will last for about another 200 years only. Once exhausted, coal and petroleum will not be available to us in a near future. Over. It is therefore necessary to conserve coal and petroleum resources of the earth by reducing their consumption so that they may last for as long as possible.